So another upload. Yay. So I was just thinking about Lana Del Rey. Now I love Lana Del Rey's music, okay? I have her book and one of her shirts that my dad got me. So I have the unreleased album downloaded, Lana Del Rey, aka Lizzie Grant, okay? So don't attack me, please. Which actually, I also want to discuss why I fear I am fearing of being attacked. So we're gonna discuss that. But I was just thinking about her in Question for the Culture, and when that came out, I was a semi Lana fan. I'd listened to her stuff and I liked it, but I wasn't as much of a fan of her music as I am now. So when that came out, and I felt like I could relate to Lana, I really did. You know, I was listening to Summertime Sadness during the summertime and, yada, yada, yada. But when that came out, I realized that I couldn't relate to her as much as I thought. And that might seem parasocial to say, but that's how I really felt. Because, well, let's talk about Question for the Culture for a second. It was a letter basically addressing how there is not a space for feminism for quote unquote women like her. At least I think that's a quote. Um and you know, I get that sentiment, but at the same time to put mostly women of color as a comparison to say that feminism is um accepting them but not me, even though you are a quote unquote, and I know she said this, delicate end quote white woman. And you know that, and to have that and to post that, and then a year later, I think it was a year later to post that, and then a year later Megan Thee Stallion gets shot in the foot, and then half of the internet does not believe her solely because she is a black woman. To have that happen is wild, because the reality is that feminism has always included white women. And if you're going to say, "Oh, why are you bringing race into this?" Baby, this is America. This is the world. This is the world that we live in. Like, I don't know what to say. But yeah, to say that feminism doesn't include women like you, which I get to a certain extent. I get that there, especially at the time that Lana debuted, there was this sentiment of a girl boss narrative. But mind you, that girl boss narrative did not fit women of color. So to compare yourself to women of color who are killing it and say that, oh, I'm the victim, it's wild. It's wild to me. But anyways, when that came out, I realized that I could not relate to her as much as I thought, because and then you can say that's parasocial, whatever, but my point is that I couldn't relate to her as much because I'm a woman of color and we live in two different worlds. She is a white woman, I'm a woman of color. That's just, we come from two different lives, and that and it shows through her music. Like, I look back at her music and it shows that she is a white woman, and that kind of it truly did disappoint me. And also to have that happen and to also have the Black Lives Matter, um, you know, the Black Lives Matter thing happen. It was just poor timing, you know? But it was, for me, it was very much a realization that, oh, I am, you know, different. And, you know, I'm biracial, I'm black and white, so there is a certain amount of privilege that I have being half white, and I truly recognize that. And maybe I'll make a video based off of that later, but it made me realize that, you know, this white woman can't relate to anything that I've experienced. Or maybe not anything, but she can't relate, you know? Especially because she is probably in a different tax bracket than I am. But, you know, and then that got me thinking, why do we need to relate to these celebrities? You know, why do we need to relate to them? And another example is like Taylor Swift. I'm not really a fan of Taylor Swift, or the person, or her music, but you know, she does have this relatable reputation. No pun intended. Um and she, you know, you can say that it's borderline parasocial, but she does have this element of relatability. And you know, that got me thinking. And I want to say that I'm going to make a split category between celebrity and artist, because I get how artists need to be relatable, or don't need, well, yeah, need to be relatable, but I don't get how celebrities need to be relatable and brands need to be relatable. You know, I don't get that. And especially in this capitalist system, I don't really get it. You know? I'm trying to think why we need these brands and celebrities to be relatable. You know, maybe it's human connection, you know, and it's essentially, a celebrity is a brand, because in the closest we'll get to that celebrity is maybe seeing that quote unquote brand, you know, in real life. But most of us are never going to know the person behind that brand. So I don't get why we need them to be relatable. Maybe it's because they have a lot of influence, and you know, there's the argument of, oh, they have a lot of influence and they need to speak up on things, because they need to speak up on things. No, they have a lot of influence, so they need to speak up on things. That's what I'm trying to say. And I get that sentiment, but at the same time, they're not living in a world that we are. They can easily, you know, go off of Twitter, and we can also go off of Twitter, but it weighs heavily on us because those are most of our tax dollars, you know, but they can live in luxury. However, we're suffering, you know? And I just don't get why they need to be relatable. And this is also, and also on my channel, this is always open for discussion. My channel is always open for discussion. So if you ever want to comment something, please feel free to, whether you agree or disagree or want to explain something, it's always welcomed here. Just please be respectful. But yeah, I don't necessarily get why they need to be relatable. And on the topic of Taylor Swift, you know, I had listened to some of her album, or semi new album. Well, it is technically still new. And I get what she was going for, I think. And some people say that it's satire, specifically the 1800s line is satire. And I get what she was going for, but at the same time, it doesn't click with me. Because first off, the 1800s line, is worded really weirdly. Like, and I'm not saying like I have a degree in creative writing or that I'm a literature professor, but it just is worded really weirdly and it doesn't come off the tongue well. And and that's really my nitpick, but my overall critique is that there is in and let me I think it was supposed to be a satire, the album, but let me compare it to a recent a film that I semi recently watched called Doctor Strangelove, How I Learned to Love the Bomb. I along those lines. The title is along those lines. I think it's directed by Stanley Kubrick, and that is an excellent satire because it understands itself very, very well. It critiques itself, and it critiques the world. It's a critique. It's a critique in the costume of humor, and that's why it's so good. For Taylor Swift's album, The Tortured Poets Department, I don't see the critique. I don't see the critique of herself. I don't see the critique of the public. I don't see it. Yeah, I see general statements. For example, again, the 1800s line, the statement is nostalgia isn't always that great. But I don't see in-depth critique. And yeah, and I don't know why, but I don't really click with Taylor Swift, which is pretty ironic in a way because I love singer-songwriters. I love Bob Dylan, I love Joni Mitchell, I love Tracy Chapman. But for Taylor Swift, I just don't click with her. And I saw a video where it was like, oh, she uses the same 4 chords. Maybe it's because of that. Or maybe it's just because I feel like she is a great songwriter. Objectively, she is a great songwriter. But that songwriting is very, very commercial. It's very commercial. And it's very, very relatable. But it's not, I don't see any of her personality within it. I see what the fans want, but I don't see her. I don't see the artistry really. And Charlie XCX said like, artistry is more important than technicality. And I think I agree with that because, you can have something that is so, so great, objectively, but what makes it really click with you is the subjectivity of it. And I just don't see that with Taylor Swift. Like, comparing her to Lana Del Rey, where there is some sort of niche that Lana is like appealing to, and how that niche really connects with her. I can connect with that. I can see her personality shine through. With Taylor Swift, I just see the reflection of of her fans, really, I think. But yeah, I don't see her, and that's what I really want to see. But yeah, I think those are my thoughts. See ya.